Okay. Huh, it's funny. Usually something comes up on the screen and I gotta kind of press that before we go. Anyway, we did yesterday a sword class because it was cold, and that was something that was done sometimes when it was just so cold in Japan that you didn't want to stretch and move around. So how was that for you?
That was a particularly great class. Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah. When we did the sword taking, where I kind of went like that, and sort of simulated the throw, was like you felt kind of the cut through the throw, where I stepped in. And any comments on that?
No, I mean that it's nice to do that because we rarely do that kind of direct connection in class.
But yeah, in terms of what is it that you felt?
As uke or nage?
Both. Well, actually, you'd be in the uke role.
Right.
You'd be holding.
So as uke, it felt just a lot like being thrown open-handed. It was the same kind of energy.
Okay.
As nage, actually, it felt a lot like just doing a throw. It was all still about balance, and I somehow wound up holding the sword, but it was mostly about being aligned and paying attention to my balance point and Uke's balance point and all of that. So it was, it felt like most Aikido, right? So it felt very much in line with what we normally do, but there was the added fun of the sword being there, which complicated things, but it didn't fundamentally alter things. It just made it more focused.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just kind of curious.
No, it worked very well. I mean, it felt like open hand. Just I had to be mindful of where the blade was.
Okay. Well, a lot of ways, the raising of a sword represents a lot of our blending movements, and the cutting motion of the sword represents our throwing movement. So even though the sword is very repetitive, which is, people, you repeat an action enough, you get tired. Or conversely, sometimes you're doing the same movement again and again and again, you feel stupid. Okay, those are observations from my own data bank of memories doing that. What was the effect? Because it was pretty cold yesterday. It was not just cold, but it was wet. So we didn't necessarily do the, we moved to warm up or some stretching to warm up. We just did the sword cut. Any comments on that at all?
It worked. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I used to do Kangeko in Chicago. So we had this program where we do early in the morning different martial arts, not just Aikido, but I would teach karate, and there would be Eskrima and Tai Chi and Aikido, and it would be February in Chicago. So training in the cold is something that although I'm older and it's not as easy as when I was younger, it's something I've done, and so that works.
Okay.
That works for me. I can handle, as my wife can tell you, I can handle cold, and I'm not so good in heat. but cold, I'm usually pretty good.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I just was curious because we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I lived in Chicago for nearly a decade, so California doesn't really get cold in the same way as
Yeah.
it does there, like below zero kind of, you know, Fahrenheit weather.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know that in Shingu, where I did most of my training in Japan, it could get cold, you know, but we're on the coast. So not quite sure, you know, how cold it went. It just seemed really cold. One time, even though we were on the coast, it actually snowed. That was a trip. You know, that was a real trip. But somehow, you know, the snow made the whole thing. It was cold, but it was kind of surreal because, you know, I haven't really seen that much snow in my life. It snowed actually, ironically, the spring before I went to Japan in 1973. I was on the campus of UC Santa Cruz, and it snowed. I didn't
Wow.
feeling it was, you know, it was terribly cold. It was just kind of surreal, you know. Snow. All right. Anyway, let me. And maybe we'll start out with a little bit of a recap of yesterday, as much as we can. It's not frighteningly cold here. Get a full body image. Raise, cup. Okay, now raising motion, it's a lot of times like, or seated, it's like your kokyo motion. And yesterday we were doing the sword coming in and then blending, entering, taking, turning, throwing. In the throwing motion, the person holding the sword had the sword taken, did a roll, and the person that received the attack was very much like a cutting motion. It's not what you call 100% that way. If somebody is coming to grab your shoulder, you come back here, you rotate, you step in, ikkyo, boom, that's a cut. All right. Somebody's attacking the side of your head, you step back, take their attention, blend, take the wrist, hip turns, turn, throw, boom, that's a throw. Okay, so the cutting motion is oftentimes the throwing motion. The raising of a sword is to some degree how should I put it? It's a blending motion, a receptive motion. I mean, you know, you can poke and slash around, but to actually cut, you have to commit to that. Okay, so there's a pretty strong intent around the sword. A couple of nights ago, I just wanted to watch it again. On HBO Max, they have the Samurai Trilogy. And the Samurai Trilogy is a three films. Story of Miyamoto Musashi, the 16th century Japanese swordsman, who's kind of, I mean, he's a mythical character. He really existed. He wrote a treatise on the sword called The Book of Five Rings. And that's still studied very intensely. Okay, not just martial arts, but a lot of times, business leaders in Japan before they start an important business campaign, maybe even a politician, and they read that book, the Book of Five Rings. And so what happens right there is that, he's an important figure, but, he's somebody who fought in the Battle of Sekigahara. And so, he was somebody, he wasn't just somebody who, just studied the sword in a school designed for the sword. He was somebody that actually fought in battle. And, his story, basically after that, he devotes himself to the study of the sword. And a lot of, what you call almost archetypal figures are there. Like there's Musashi. He's somebody, who's on the path to perfect himself through the art of the sword. And he has, I would just say arch antagonist. It's a man named Musashi Kojiro. And Kojiro is funny. In the film, he's played by an actor named Koji Tsurata. And I've never studied it to a great extent. But Tsurata, apparently, after that film, he became even more famous as a rock star. And so, of the two, there's Toshiro Mifune, great actor, playing Musashi, who's kind of dragging himself up by the bootstraps. And then there's this Kojiro guy, who's kind of like a rock star. He's refined. When I first watched it, I didn't quite get it because kind of a sadistic side to him, but it's not obvious. And Musashi, he's perfects what he calls the sword in one hand, sword in the other hand, Niten Ichiryu, double sword style. And Kojiro uses a sword that's longer than a regular sword. In fact, it's so long, you draw the sword by rotating the hips. So you can't, most people, unless somebody who's 7 foot tall could draw it just with the arms, but you have to actually rotate the hips, counter rotate the hips to draw it. You can't just go this way. See, I'm a little, there's about 4 inches there. So I got to take the hips back and, okay. And so there's an area where those 2 movements of the hips, just draw the sword is important. Well, Kojiro can't because the sword is too long. So he has it here. And so what he has to do is to draw it down to draw it out, okay? And the long sword is, how shall I put it? He calls it his laundry pole. People would take a pole, hang it outside, and put their wet laundry on it. So, there's a way where it's very sophisticated. And this beautiful sword. And he calls it his laundry pole. So he has a sense of humor about things. But cool. Musashi, not cool. And so when I first saw it, I thought, I like Kojiro better, right? I just like Kojiro better. And Kojiro had what he called this devastating technique called the swallow cut. In Japanese, tsubame gaishi. Tsubame is the swallow. Gaishi is like kote gaishi. We tend to think of kote gaishi as twist the wrist, but what gayasu, you're going this way, and then all of a sudden you reverse. Da-da, 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 not da-da. In fact, just drawing the sword, see, I can't draw the sword this way. It's too long for me. So I have to actually turn the hip away and then draw. But you want that and that to be one movement, the way Bruce Lee put it. The two are two halves of one motion, but it's a reversal movement. And supposedly, Kojiro, great swordsman, technically, I think better than Musashi. Observing the flight of birds and how the swallow can ride in flight. In other words, the bird doesn't stop and set to go in a different direction. It just, so his sword style is like that. For example, Kotegaishi, bing, shihonage, boom. And so surprisingly, that's, the term to reverse. Kayasu, gayasu, fluidly, making two movements, two halves of one motion. So there's a lot there in terms of it's Aikido seen kind of from a different angle. Okay. Now, Kojiro was considered to be a genius. And he and Musashi, were kind of like antagonists. And it's almost like, they're both kind of, but you have Stephen Curry and you have LeBron James. And, in basketball, you don't really see the two of them. But symbolically, when James was playing for one team and Curry was on the Warriors, you sort of got that sense that they were, so, they would meet in the NBA finals. Okay. And so Kojiro, Musashi, they had a duel on one of the smaller islands of Japan, Ganryu. And Kojiro had taken this job as the martial, as the teacher of a clan of warriors. And Musashi postponed their duel to travel some more and in his own mind refine himself some more. So Musashi is generally viewed as more of a Japanese role, and Kojiro not so. And they meet, and Kojiro is waiting for him. Musashi has to take a boat from the main island to the little island, Ganryu. And while he's there, he strategizes. There's an extra oar in the boat, and he fashions an extra long wooden sword, one that's even longer than Kojiro's sword. And so they meet, Musashi, coming out of the ocean. So in theory, you see his footing is not so good. One thing I really liked about there's one scene where Kojiro is being surrounded by a bunch of guys who want to kill Musashi. They're wanting, because Musashi's been beating the members of this one sword school in Kyoto, and so they have to kill him, because other than that, you can say I beat 3 masters of this school, right? And so everybody's touchy. They're not hunting Kojiro. But Kojiro's there, and he's protecting this woman. Okay, and what happens is that they surround him, And it's really difficult to do here. But, you know, first thing you see when he's surrounded, he starts to root and ground. First thing is not, what do I do? He goes, mm, 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 mm. He's feeling the ground. He's checking the footing. He's coming here and now. His mind's not racing. And then Musashi, the same thing. You know, he's surrounded, and all of a sudden, the first thing he does, I don't have it here. Just I've had another story. His footing, his ground. Okay, so there are some things in the film that I really liked. In fact, you know, I saw that. I think I saw part one when I was a little kid. And I was raised in Santa Cruz, and we would go occasionally. My family was Buddhist, but they there's a Buddhist temple in Watsonville, and so we would go there to see Japanese films occasionally. And one of them was part one of the Samurai trilogy with Toshiro Mifune. No Kojiro yet. But when I was at UC Davis doing graduate work, I just remember, you know, just taking a drive with this other member of the Aikido club. And we went to a theater in San Francisco's Japantown, and it was like being in another world. And then, you know, you see Musashi, trying to, step by step by step by step by step, just to polish himself and facing hardship after hardship. And then you have Kojiro. Musashi's not cool. He acquires some poise and wisdom because of his hardships. Kojiro's, to some degree, he's a finished product. He's looking for somebody that he feels worthy of him. And so he's got his eyes on Musashi and says, yeah, just good. Musashi takes this whole sword school on. And Kojiro is kind of like an unofficial second. And he kind of says, it's too bad he's going to get killed. But Musashi gets a strategy where he beats the school. I mean, they really want to kill him because, if he escapes, then he's beaten the, like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of their appointees. And literally, he's facing an army. But he maneuvers his way to the rice fields where they can only come at him one at a time on the bank. And if they come in from the side, they get bogged down in the mud. And so, he unveils his 2-sword style. And then he goes away and then he runs and he beats the whole school. And Kojiro, he's just watching it all, saying, good, keep improving and we'll meet. Kojiro is the finished product. He's very cool. And he has this technique, the swallow turn. Okay. And Musashi, for example, is viewed the way he is because, he was not this finished product. Kojiro, I think, was a better fencer, naturally gifted. Musashi had to kind of get there. And so the product of Musashi's growth is what in Japanese is called shugyo, advancement training. And therefore he was a shugyo sha, somebody who was on the path of shugyo to the study of his sword. And there are a lot of archetypes. Another one in that film is this woman, Otsu, who was a flute player. And she was totally in love, madly in love with Musashi. And so she follows him all around Japan. And according to Mary Heine Sensei, when I first got there, I was discussing all this with her and said, oh yeah, Otsu, she's the epitome of traditional Japanese womanhood. And I said, yeah, but she was such a loser. And Mary Sensei said, yeah, I know. In other words, you know, she's lost her whole self to this male figure, you know. She herself was a great flute player, but she chased Musashi around Japan because she was so lost in him. And so that's another archetype that's in there. There's a man named Eiji Yoshikawa who wrote a book called Musashi, I believe. And the film was based on that novel. It was a historical novel. How much of it was actually the way that it really happened, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation. I guess this guy, the author, went to Musashi Sword School, who at that time was still being taught in somewhere. And they gave him a little pamphlet. He read the pamphlet and wrote it was like a War and Peace novel, which I did read years ago, okay? But anyway, the climax of it is the duel on that island. And so it's Musashi coming out of the ocean where his footing is not so good, and going from the big island where he was to the little island. He's carving this extra long bokken. Now Musashi apparently fought a lot of his battles, and there's a couple of scenes where he's facing somebody, and it's pretty much, I mean, it's a real match. It's not like, okay, we'll score points. And so he asks, do you want just the regular sword, the real sword, or a bokken? He gives the person, because he's challenging the choice. And so he won a lot of his matches, which means he probably killed some people with the bokken. You can crush somebody's skull with this. And so they meet. Now, Musashi's coming out of the ocean. Kojiro's on land, but he's facing at dawn, 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that, the sun in his eyes. And so, part of that is like, okay, it's not just who's going to win, but, terrain, strategy. I mean, you look at a contest, it's a sporting event, it's kind of like, okay, now who is going to be the stronger, better of the two? In that thing, a real encounter. It's not an event. It's Shinken, live blade. Somebody's going to die. So the context is presented. And, they have an exchange or two, and, the fight goes a couple of minutes, really. But Musashi kind of realizes, that Kojiro is going to come with the swallow turn. And so, the only way, Kojiro's, that's good enough. That Musashi realizes the only way he's going to beat him is to go over the top of that cut with his extra long and crush Kojiro's skull. And so, of course, that's what happens. And it's a very interesting ending, because there's Kojiro kind of lying lifeless in the sand, and he's smiling. And there's Musashi, who's won, and he's in tears. And then, of course, all of the people from the Kojiro-based clan are there, and so Musashi's got to hightail it out in the boat. And that's the end of the film. And Musashi's crying that he had to kill to win. And Kojiro is in ecstasy as he's dead. Very interesting. Anyway, that's have you studied that at all, Cliff?
I haven't actually seen that film, so although I have
HBO,
read War and Peace.
HBO Max, if you've got it.
Yeah, I
I
do.
didn't
So
realize it was on until, you know, this a while ago. I watched. So I've never really watched the first one. You know, Musashi is somebody who's got such spirit. He's driven. He's uncouth. And so you know he is forced to be secluded in a library where he can't do anything. So he kind of acquires some focus and personality in that library. He's sort of, but you know, he's sentenced there by the Zen monk Takwa. Okay, so that's another mythical figure in them. I don't know if that really happens or not, but it makes for great theater, you know. And it's I gotta watch. I've got to watch part 3 again, you know, because that's the fight. Musashi goes off and he, you know, and he's raised, he's samurai class, but poor samurai class. And so he's raised, you know, farming. And so, you know, he fights the battle and, you know, he's so fierce, just pure fierceness, recklessness, that he's very successful on the battlefield. I mean, he's kind of like, if we were to compare that, the movie Batman Begins with Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, because he's, you know, he faces a whole tribe of, and he wins because he's just so crazy. And that was Musashi in book 1. At the end, he leaves, goes on this journey to perfect himself on the path of the sword. Part 2, he fights that school in Kyoto, and you know, and he and Kojiro start to kind of, you know, he's on Kojiro's radar, and Kojiro's on his radar. In part 3, they meet at the end. So that's the trilogy, and I'm not exactly sure what all that means, you know, but you know, it influenced me so much because you know you know just you know you in the film, I don't know exactly where it was filmed, but ironically, where I didn't train in Tokyo. I trained in the country, Kansai, Kanto, northern part of the main island, Tokyo, Kansai, southern part of the main island of Honshu. Okay, Osensei's birthplace was in Tanabe on the coast of the southern part of the main island, and Shingu was a little ways around the coast. So I trained more in the Kansai area. And anyway, let's do some looking. Woo, we spent a lot of time. Okay. Now, with that as a prelude, you know, what we covered yesterday was just this main cut. And again, the raising motion. I mean, you can raise and cut out that way. That's a more common because if you're fighting it, but the sense of it here, boom. And what's important at the end, too tight, too loose. There's that vibration. And that vibration is very difficult. If I'm too tight, looks like that. Plus, I'm too tight, the cut is out there. I'm too loose, I'm erring on the side of being too loose and I'm studying the cut. Okay? So just that simple movement covering. My left hand is right where the third eye chakra would be. The cut itself is boom, just a little past waist level. And sometimes, yeah, what you don't want to be cutting this way and then here and here. It's like I'm Stephen Curry. The height of the basket doesn't change. So if I miss, I have to adjust. The basket's not going to change. Okay, and boom. Boom. Okay, now in terms of what we're talking about in terms of swordsmanship, okay, and the verb kayasu, gayasu, to reverse. Well, this is one movement, the raising motion, boom, that's the other movement, the cutting motion. But it's a little bit like the drawing motion. You must, see, I can't draw this way. I'm turning my hip in the direction of the cut. I have to turn the hip away and then. So I can't go bump, bump. That's the way it's kind of done. Bump, bump. But bump, one cut, one motion of the hips. Okay, so right here, the hips are turning. I call that more what I would call the closed door position. The cut itself, boom, is the open door position. Now, sword is oftentimes done more boom with the square posture, which is the closed door position. But the Aiki, Kojiro Sensei explained to me, the Aiki cut, you raise very shallow, you don't raise all the way back, and you cut deep. Boom. And boom. You're off the line of the cut. It's very much like the thrust motion with the spear. Okay. And coordinating that without, for example, hooking the cut. Say, boom. Okay. Try a couple. Okay, Cliff, any observations or questions?
First off, we have Yarrow who's joined us as well, partway through class. Yeah, I'm trying to remember or bear in mind all the refinement you worked with me on yesterday on raising, being centered, on when you were working with me on the closing motion and all of that. And I feel like, I'm less bad at this than I was. Let's put it that way.
Well,
so it's feeling more natural.
Okay, good. Yeah, you want to go towards the naturalness. And when, the sword itself, I mean, you're working with somebody, you're not cutting near, although the feeling of it, you cut very deep. Okay, so it's as much as you're practicing physical skill, you are going for the depth. In fact, I think the way that the Musashi novel ends is talking about depth, like the depth of the ocean. and how his quest was to go deeper and deeper and deeper into his study, both of the sword and through the sword, the study of himself and the perfection of the sword and the perfection of self. Okay? And one of the things that I kind of mentioned, these are, there's a whole bunch of stuff from Japanese martial arts, some of which I'm familiar with and some of which I'm not, But what I kind of mentioned, what works for me may not work for you. But one image or archetype I use when I'm doing this stuff. I'm Stephen Curry perfecting the three-point shot. He checks his hands, he checks his feet. And for me, the grip is a diagonal grip. It's not like this. Why? Because if it's like this, I got to close at the end and I wind up tightening. Okay, so here, boom. I have somewhere to go if it's a diagonal grip. All right. And I kind of want to get that boom vibration. And I want the, all right? And I've read articles about, Curry when he is practicing that shot, which, by the way, revolutionized basketball. The three-point shot was a gimmick. And then he came around and the whole thing now revolves around the ability to make that three, because 3 is greater than 2. You shoot 40% from 3. It's better than shooting 50% from 2. So he turned basketball inside out. But in practice, it's not just if it goes in. It has to go in without rattling. If it rattles, they don't count it as a make. And it's not just that it goes in. It makes a particular sound as it goes in with the net. Boom. And for me, the sound of the net vibrating with, the perfect shot, you get that vibration. Okay? And there's something that we haven't addressed. It's not just becoming good at an action. It's called spirit. Big word. And for me, the spirit of that, now in practice, nobody's going to do this, but in shooting that shot in the game, people are going to try to stop him. And a lot of times they'll physically make contact, which is a foul. But this is hard. If he's fouled, he gets 3 free throws. Not what the other team wants. But if he makes it from 3, he gets the 3, plus he gets an extra free throw. They call it and 1. So I'm pretending, boom. It goes through the hoop, makes that sound. Boom. And I do that through contact and get a free throw. Nobody does like Curry. And boom, the and 1 is the spirit. So you may use another image, okay? Okay. That last part is very hard to teach. But when I did the thing yesterday where I would have somebody attack, you got to feel, because even though you were being thrown, it was a cutting motion. And that was the feel, best I could do it, of N1. And N1 is infinite. Anything? Cliff, anything?
Yes, when yesterday when you were putting your hand on the bokken at the closing point, then I really got that and one,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm trying to recreate that feeling without you standing in the room doing that.
Yeah, I know that's hard.
So that's what I'm working on. But I think it's better. My closing motion is better than it was before yesterday.
Well, you know, the word spirit's a big word. Putting it inside is constant, 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 what you call shugyo. Okay? So there's an awful lot just in that basic cut. Okay? And, you know, just a couple of pointers. One of the things is, again, the body triangulates. It goes from, you know, your raising motions. The hips are turning one way. The cutting motion, the hips are kind of rotating. Okay? It's a little bit like I'm going to draw going that way. The hips go counter to that in that direction. Not 1, 2, but 1 and. All right? Curry has a shot pocket. And boom, 2 halves of 1 motion. Fastest release in the lead. Okay? So, you know, I tend to like things like that because, you know, everyone's, oh, he shoots a lot of shots. No, it's positioning, hands and feet. The basket's a constant. I'm very good, by the way, without a hoop and a basketball. I used to, you know, before the pandemic, I used to go and shoot at the Y. I got pretty good. In fact, I went a couple of times with Elle, and, you know, there'd be everybody shooting. I'd be shooting from outside the 3-point line, okay? And she said, you know, when you make that shot, and I was better in those days, I haven't been doing that too much. It goes in there without making a sound. But what I told her, and I hadn't read this Curry article, I said, yeah, but there's a vibration. So when I read that, I began to kind of say, oh, okay, yeah, that's a, because I mean, you know, you get your mechanics down. If your mechanics are weird, you can't get that. But past the mechanics, you get that place where that becomes kind of your, I don't know, your realm, Curry's realm within the domain of basketball is shooting from distance. That sets up his drives, his passing, everything. Okay? And, you know, these little minutiae, you get caught up in the details, you have to kind of put inside you. But what you're after all is feeling that vibration in your fingertips before you release the ball. And so it travels that distance and creates that same vibration going through the hoop. Okay? Now, what I did the other day, it was so it give you the feel, and in my parlance, of end 1. I never had Tojima Sensei do that, but he would stand in front of me and cut, and I was supposed to match his cuts, and he was going, no, because it's all over the place with it. And that was about 50 years ago. Okay. But I still have the sense that, I was kind of within his energy field, his vibrational field. So part of my vibrational field, which at that time was pretty young and pretty dissociated from everything, got some sort of a blueprint. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we're looking at the time. Yeah, all right. What I thought we'd do now, the hip turns, reverses. It goes up, it goes down. Goes up, goes down. Boom. That's hard. That's, to some degree, the up-down motion seen as the swallow cut. I go this way and I get that way. It's two movements. Now it is two movements, but the two movements are part of one motion. Boom. Boom. So I'll be facing Tojima Sensei, and he'd be cutting like, I flatter myself to think that it's somewhat similar. And I'd be right in front of him, trying to match his cuts, but feeling the vibrational nature of his feeling. One motion. Hips rotate, counter rotate, boom. Hands are right, boom. Cut is constant. One motion. One movement. Swallow cut. With consistency. I read once where Curry made 178 straight in practice, which means one, they did not touch the hoop. Two, it made that sound going through the net. Try a couple. Okay. Cliff, anything? Swallow cut.
Well, this time I focused on my hips and having my hips loose and moving freely, and that seemed to help overall.
Tojima Sensei said, you cut with your hips. If you, to some degree, you've got to get your hands right. If your hands are off, you can take a basketball, anybody can make it out to about 15 to 18 feet. They get better at a shot. But when you start increasing the distance, your mechanics are important. And then there's the spirit of end one. Not everybody has that spirit. Or conversely, everybody has that spirit, but to actually, use a more Japanese term, refine oneself to that. In other words, iron, tempered and retempered becomes a sword. That's refinement. The word that Tojima Sensei liked was tanren. And the cutting of the sword is tanren. refining, strengthening. The process of that is shugyo, advancement training. So as much as you are refining and strengthening, you're also developing interiorly. Body itself changes as you do this. Interiorly, you're somehow getting that spirit of and one. And then there's another fancy word called misogi, which sometimes, you know, we see in the Aikido. These are exercises that are done. But one thing that really struck me as interesting was that, you know, I'd watch Tojima Sensei do the cut, and I would see that it was very much like when he was doing kind of some of the misogi exercises. There's a vibration. Okay. And right there, you know, your tummy starts to shake. After a while, it starts from your tummy and goes back out. Boom. Okay. So those are just a couple of things, you know, like the tanren. Refining, strengthening, going to shugyo, kind of an advancement training. The cut's infinite. And then, to some degree, a more exalted word, misogi. Misogi is not kind of copying it, but and one. And for me, it's a very peaceful place. I'm very easy there. Flexible sense of ground, breathing, deep thoughts. In that moment, pretty clear. And, you know, Tojima Sensei, you know, gave you sort of the direct experience of standing, you know, with your energy field and his energy field connected. And much of that he didn't explain. I spent 50 years trying to kind of recreate that feeling of, you know, and you have to find your own words. You might not, you know, I study the other person is Sada Haruo. Because, you know, you, this way, you get readiness and then you're turning on that pitch, boom. And O stood on one leg. Boom. Curry golfs. He probably would be on the PGA Tour, but not anywhere near as good as he is in basketball, but he's good enough. The golf swing. Okay. So part of it, you know, in this culture, you're a champion if you win. In Aikido, you're a champion if you win over yourself. So if you can go, you know, the physical part of the training, the tanren, it's kind of like the dojo or the gymnasium. The shugyo is that. That's the basis of it. But it, you know, you research, like Musashi, you know, is very uncouth and everything. So he stays in a geisha house and learns how to be refined, hiding from the people who were trying to kill him from that Kyoto school. Then the misogi. Because, you know, he wants skill, which means winning. And at the end of the movie, Kojiro loses and he's in ecstasy. Musashi is in tears. Okay. And, you know, we glorify winning to such a degree, we don't learn to win over ourselves. And I see that rampant out there in politics and the Ukraine and wherever else you want to look right now. Anyway, I think that's it. So I do believe tomorrow we're having that dinner for a couple of our senior teachers, David and my mind gets too caught up. But we'll be doing that tomorrow night. Okay, so hope to see you there. Any thoughts before we sign off, Cliff?
Nothing really spectacular. This is all just good practice and good stuff to keep in mind. So I'm just going to continue trying to refine my practice.
Well, that's basically, you know, that's what you're looking at. The cut's infinite. I mean, Tojiman Sensei say nankaimo, nankaimo, which means again and again and again and again. And, you know, I mean, what I found, you know, like the Warriors won their first title in recent times in 2015. And Curry's so exhausted, he says, I'm not gonna touch a basketball for a month. And after 2 weeks, he goes into the Warrior offices and he can't stay out. He's in the gym practicing. And, you know, I mean, at that particular point, you know, you're at the pinnacle, you're an NBA champion for the first time, okay? But watching him, you know, the Warriors are they're not going to win until they heal what's going on with them, organizationally, player-wise, coach-wise, whatever. But he's still a champion. And that's a very mutable state. So you have to keep refining. It's infinite. And, you know, if we look at it that way, you know, it's just this crazy cut is infinite. Anyway, I think that's it. Anything more you want to add before we go?
Not at this time, Sensei. Thank you.
Okay, well, so thank you for tuning in. Okay, we'll see you hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Now we're going to stop the recording. Yes.
Anyway, hi. Are you with Anthony or?
No.
You just walked in with him. Okay.
Yeah. A friend recommended.
Oh, okay.
So
Let's see. We may start a little different than we normally do because it's so cold. In Japan, when it was really cold, we didn't try to stretch or anything. We just warmed up swinging the sword, generate some body heat. But why don't you have a seat and I'll come by, see if you have any questions. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Okay. All right. And good morning. Good or good afternoon, whatever it is right now. Let's do this. We tend to go all the way back there, especially weapons. It kind of gets lost. So let's move in. And what we'll do is we'll just make sure that the screen. Can you turn the screen so I can see what's on it? That'll give me a better sense of where to position. Everybody, come in a little bit more. Come into this line. Thankful. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, this is a little closer. Okay. And let's start out. It's a basic cut, right foot, right hand, okay? Now the sword work, one, you know, we used to do this in Japan when it got really cold. You didn't feel like stretching out, so we just swung the sword for a while, okay? But we, you know, many cuts, but we're gonna start out with raise about here. Actually, what I'm doing, keeping the point not straight up, but, and the third eye right here, that's where my left hand is. And then there's a cut and there's a follow through. Okay, so up here and boom, boom. Make sure you get one of the bokken, okay? Yeah. Keep going. Boom. 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 Okay, and one of the things right here, that follow through is very deceptive because we tend to follow through full extension follow through. Okay, and one of the things about the follow through, boom, is that, you know, you talk about key flow, for example, it grabs real firm. Okay, good. That's the feeling. It's a combination of focus and relaxation. If you grab real firm right there, okay, what I'm going to do is, that's the feeling. Now, the hands go this way on that one, but they focus more this way on the closure. But you hold real firm. Okay, good. Good. You find swinging your arms. It's like boom. Relax, but focus. Okay, take it firm. Good. Ooh, that is firm. Okay, good. Okay, all right. All right. Now the closing motion, that's that blending motion. But for example, if we were here, and he's very firm, we got this motion. Okay. And so one of the things about it is full extension. Then there's that closing motion, which kind of thumbs come in, not like you're gripping harder, like you're giving somebody a back press. Okay, boom, and okay. And when you kind of do this, there's a sense of sometimes that it bounces, right? And you have an eye for that one. For example, the bounce, diaphragm is that motion. Where's that? So if it bounces, boom, it bounces down. Take it firm. Good. Take it further. Okay. Okay. So the sword itself is a good general training tool that can help you in your regular Aikido with the, you know, the basic movements. Just continue. Okay, now I'll use an analogy with you. Right now, you're basketball analogy. You're holding on to the ball. Shoot. Shoot. No, you're still holding on to the ball. You let her fly. Boom. And then follow through on that. Follow through on that. Follow through on it. Follow through. Okay? And my own basketball analogy, and one. You make the shot and you get a free throw. Let's follow through. Boom. Boom. Okay? Keep going. Okay, now comment. You're aiming. Raise it. Let it fall. Gravity will take it straight down. You don't have to aim it. Boom. 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 Okay, now the cut's not out there. Boom. Okay, watch there for a second. The cut's out there. You are the cut. Couple more. Swing. You are the cut. That's better. You're getting that follow through now. That's better. Okay. Yeah, that's better. You are. Okay. So one of the things right here, I was using, it may not work for you, but it's a basketball analogy, okay? You shoot the ball. If somebody hits you or something, it's called a foul. But you make the shot anyway and you get a free throw. That's the feeling of it. Boom. Boom. So whatever, yes, boom. In basketball, they say, and one, and one, and one. Boom. Boom. Not just make the shot. Somebody hits you during the shot, you make it anyway, and you get a free throw. That's the way I look at that closing motion from another perspective. Okay? Yeah, keep going. Anyway, as I said, this is not something we start you out with. Have you done any Aikido before?
No.
What got you interested in Aikido? Yeah, I just kidding. Somebody tell you about it? Or did you read something about it?
I think I've just been aware of it for a long
You what?
time.
Sorry, what?
I've been aware of it for a long
Okay,
time,
yeah,
but
okay.
it's not. I'm trying new things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have if you fill out a release and provide proof of vaccination, you can try a class out. We don't usually do this.
Oh,
This is so called.
I see. Is it normally like?
Well, it's body motion.
Oh,
Okay. All right. I'll just demonstrate some other things. Okay. Okay. Now remember, the cut helps you in certain ways. Okay. One of them, for example, okay, is let's see, put that down. Okay. And he grabs with two. Okay. That motion. All right. So that's the raising motion of the sword. And here we're going to turn and cut. Okay. All right. Turn, cut. Yeah. Okay. So more strength to use. This is very good for women, by the way. Now, this seems like it's stupid, but somebody grabs you and is going to pull you in the alleyway. Okay. You establish your center, your ground. So part of a cut. You relax. Your feet are up. You're not immovable, but you have your balance with yourself. Okay. And then, if somebody grabs onto you and pulls, well, your power is more centralized. It's not a reflection of what's going on there. It's kind of deep inside you. Okay, so the cut, in some sense, boom, you become the cut. Boom. I was telling David Sensei a little bit. I use a basketball analogy because, I don't know that anybody has studied Japanese swordsmanship, but, popular culture. Okay. It's a shot in basketball. Okay. I make the shot. But I get fouled and make the shot, I get a free throw. So my closing motion, boom, boom, is and one. Oh, that was a great shot. Now I get a free throw. Okay. It's called follow through. Your energy continues past what's obvious. Okay? So let's swing a couple more, just warm up a little bit more. Give your power when your attention goes out. Okay, now your power, your motion is going out. Some of it has to, boom, go up and down here. Boom. Boom. Ken, cover your head. Yeah, yeah, okay, good. In fact, I do a lot of mirror practice because it's easy to drift, okay? Keep going. Go, yes. And you make the shot and get a free throw. Boom. How's that feeling? It may not work for you. You got to find your own. Boom. Okay. Okay. And one of the more advanced things here, you know, let's put that down. Vibration. Vibration. Wave vibration. Okay. Somebody comes, puts their hand on you. Okay. That's a little fancy. We work a little bit more contact than that. But okay. When you become the cut, you kind of sense waves, spirals in the motion. But my definition of what you might call spirit, very big, and one. Curry gets fouled, playing for the Warriors, is doing great, the team sucks. Boom. He makes the shot, gets a free throw. He's not thinking, go to the free throw line, he's thinking, make the shot. But that's kind of the positive intent, okay? And what is that intention? Center. There's an up-down feeling of balance that's loose, easy, but not sloppy. Your mind has a goal. If only they have a goal. Zen sense of emptiness. What's your goal? To have a goal. If my goal is to do this, that's fine. Yeah. But if you walk around or you walk around to, you have a goal. If only it is to have a goal. Your purpose, if only it's to have a purpose. It's very empty. But boom. Boom. And the game I play, and one. And one. Let's follow through. Boom. My purpose is to have a purpose. Okay? Swing a couple more, then we'll put these down. Okay. What? Yeah. If I were Bruce Lee, I'd be smiling, saying, good. Come on. Raise, cut. I'll get out of your way. Yeah. Okay. Raise and cut. Boom. 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 That's simple. That's and one. Okay, now you took the shot, you got fouled, but you missed it. And one. Okay, raise it fuller, easier. Boom. Yes, that one. Yes. And one. Get out of the way. Raise. Cut. No, you don't want to be shaking around, okay? But it's a vibration, not a shake. Okay? Yeah, I'm not that strong, but you start to tune into energy. Power and strength. Strength is a form of power, but there are other forms of it. Some of it's imagination, some of it's just feel. Okay, West Shiva, the founder, was a couple inches shorter than me. You know, but he talked about things like ki and energy. That's what usually gets people involved in Aikido. You know, they kind of, otherwise, you know, the techniques come out of jujitsu. You know, okay, now what we're going to do, to hold that for me, David. No, keep it. I haven't done this in a while. And pivot. Now right here. Okay. Okay. Now, if I get in this position here, I try to move them. Boom. Get the vibration. Now, you know what it is. You see me kind of going like this, but this feeling of energy moving through me, and it vibes with itself. So here, off the line. Your body triangulates. Okay. If it's a truck coming at me, I don't want to do that. I'm going to move over to the side more. But the motion is set up. Okay. And again, that's kind of done with. Obviously, I'm a warrior, and it sucks that Steph plays well. So we get to watch him play. Okay. And his spirit, to me, and one. Sometimes shooting gets knocked down. But a lot of times he makes that shot and gets a free throw. That takes focus. He's not very big. Okay. Giants, he came in here, he'd be much taller than any of us. He's not big. All right. Boom. Position. So he can be firm on you. Boom. This is where, again, that feeling. All right. He's swinging the sword. There's a vibe to you. It's calm. Boom. If he wants to cut, I have a good position here. I'm grabbing between, gonna turn the hip, pivot. Now, okay, raise and cut. Okay, so sword cut. We're just gonna do, he's coming in with a right-sided cut. Okay, and I'm positioning my right. Okay. All right, we'll just do that one side. Okay, let's give me my sword back. Okay. Yeah, I don't walk around with this in public. Yeah, this is purely a prop. But one of the things we're doing, again, a lot of things are attitudinal.
attitude.
So, I mean, I could quote what some 16th century samurai Zen person said, but I use popular culture. So, I mean, for me, one thing is spirit. Okay, there's a saying, it doesn't matter how big, more important than how big the dog is in a fight is the fight
The
in the
dog.
dog. That old expression.
Yeah.
We're not here with a fighting spirit, but we're kind of here with stand up for yourself, but be flexible.
Be flexible.
Yeah. And what's interesting about it is there's a type of strength you develop. And it's, it's not the archetype of the big muscular type. Okay. Most Aikido teachers, to be honest with you, are not very big. The only big one who's pretty famous is a guy named Steven Seagal. And, well, he's living in Russia now.
Oh.
Strange guy. I met him once, and he was younger, and he wasn't quite as strange. But he became a movie star, and now he's political. So yeah.
I see.
But anyway, a lot of our movements are movements that allow us to maintain our balance under what appears to be pressure. Now, sometimes we move a little bit more than that, but yeah. Now he's raising his shoulders. The shoulders relax. There's a kind of a nice sort of sense of cool command. That we want our students to kind of develop. You know what I mean? Now, for example, just hold this. Okay, just it's a wooden simulation. Regular sword. You don't want to walk around with that. I'm not really pro weapons at all. In terms of carrying guns and stuff, knives. So we use it, however, to train ourselves. And we, today, as I said, we don't usually do this. I encourage people to do their individual work with it.
Individual
work, yeah. In other words, Bruce Lee didn't just show up for his classes as movies. He did a lot of work. He ran, he lifted, he stretched.
like at home.
Yeah. So in other words, we don't punch bags or anything, but one of the things about it is that motion is more like, again, that motion is in your regular contact and touch, right? And, you take this away and, you're calm.
You're calm?
Calm.
Your code?
Yeah. In other words, you have to have enough knowledge, but you can't be thinking too much out there. With them, I'm trying to get them more into in the moment feel sense of it. I mean, if you do meditation and all of a sudden, you feel good, or you go out and lose it because the world's too crazy, that's not good. The meditation is based in the sense of you of a lot of the work is about the mind, but the body and the mind are so connected that you can work and actively relax and focus in.
I see.
Yeah. And then, what happens with most thought, the expression, and I used to do a lot when I trained in Japan, is put it in the body. Well, what does that mean? There's too much going on up here. And you may know it up there, but there's too much going on. You might not be able to remember it. Okay. So putting it in the body means that you feel it. You develop a feel sense. I know I'm supposed to be calm. I feel calm.
I see.
I know I'm supposed to be more focused. Oh yeah, I feel more focused. You see, so that's a sense. Some of the stuff is very repetitive because I know a bunch of moves, and when I have to do something, I get too caught up in my noisy mind and I can't execute it. Yeah. And so most people find the Aikido things to help them focus in other areas, right?
I see.
Yeah.
And so do people attend class and then they go home and they practice?
Well, I'm not, how many people actually practice it? I do because, for one thing, I'm teaching, so I'm doing a lot of training there. I'm instructing. So yeah, I do this, I do other things. But, I encourage the students to do that, try to show them how it relates to that. And you know, something like just calmly sitting, breathing. A lot of, for example, do that. You know, your breath. In other words, what you learn, you focus your breathing deeper. Your mind stays calmer. You can relate to things quicker, right? And it looks like I'm tensing, but no, the breathing being so like boom, quick, that's up the focus. And then, you know, the third is kind of nice because, you know, if you have a lot of energy to work off, you can swing this, or when it gets really cold, you know, you can do this and people are not going to freeze trying to warm and stretch. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go out and do a little bit of work with them, and I'll be by if you have any more questions. Okay, all right. Okay, now, good. Easy. Good. Too nervous. Old Sal Bloom. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Good. Morning. Nice and easy. All you're out there too much. So calm down. All right? Calm down. No one's going to attack you with a sword, but you're going to have to face a lot of stupidity in the world. The world can just absolutely destroy you. Easy. Okay? Keep going. Okay, now you're running into his power, okay, which is common, okay? First thing you try to do is to listen. Connect to his vibe, okay? Hold that. Good. You have a vibe. Come on, I want to vibe with you. You don't want to be attacking people. You're just doing that to help me train, but you don't want to be a fire. Okay, you're right there. Now, how do I move you? I don't. Boom. We vibe together. Okay? To do that, you got to relax a little bit. Okay? Vibe together. Yeah. When you vibe together, you have a collective peace. Okay? On this one. Okay? Please. Oh, yeah. Like your cut. Okay, now here I kind of missed, so there are other things to do, right? But cut a little lower, it's like boom, good. Don't look for it, feel it. Come on in. I'm kind of showing off, but you want to be very relaxed in this situation. You know what I mean? If I'm out here, then we'll move a stick up. Because when you're kind of in that relaxed center, you know, it's not that you are in control, but you have a sense of command. You see what I mean? So kind of what I want you to work on more than anything is boom. Now, we're going to vibe together. I say you don't want to do that. Okay? But you like my vibe. We vibe together. We have a project, we work better. See the raise there? It's not just try to lift though. Okay, try it again. He needs an attacker. I cut a little lower for him. Okay. It's a cut, albeit a one-handed cut. Same thing. There, raise, cut. Okay, better. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Come on in. See, this the old style move is a striking motion. And we show the techniques, but you didn't come here to get elbowed in the face. So, you know, and what's surprising is a lot of times, everybody has aggression. They just disguise it or suppress it. But, if you're swinging the sword, boom, you're getting that out. You see what I mean? Boom, you're going, again, not hitting anybody, not attacking anybody. Gives me something, and of course my hands get stronger. But mainly, if you're coming in this direction, good. Boom. We have holds here. All right. As he comes up, then and all that is me just kind of, we just say we vibe together. He comes to punch or something. Good. All right. Now, this is obviously wrong. I'm adjusting, so we vibe together here. We vibe together, right? So, Aikido tends to create a sense where when you don't have to win, you can blend, and in blending with a situation, you can help shape it. You don't have to. Again, the key is learning to stay very calm. I get too agitated. I get too out there. No. See, one of the things, for example, if you come to the side attack right here, same thing. Come on in. This is the calm center of the storm. Everything, you won't let go of it, then we have other holds, or if he stands up, then boom, we have other things to do. So, we have, that's more the jujitsu side of it. But, the core of what we're doing is teaching somebody to be calmer, more self-assured, more aware. I mean, there have been black belts that go out in the street, and then somebody comes in behind them, they don't sense it, they get knocked to the ground to do that. It's not a matter of learning technique, it's just being a little bit more conscious. You see? And so we do techniques, we don't practice getting knocked down, but if he comes and he grabs my hands from the back, okay, I'm getting a sense of the back. I can also turn around, and we have holds. Right. So, he grabs from the front. All right. Boom. He's strong. And he's setting something, but if I can focus all my strength in his little point. Okay. And then fingers, for example. Steven Seagal teaches his workshop locally for us. He says, fingers are small, but they can make a big person move. Wait. He took great glee at just taking fingers and twisting them and people. He moved and moved and moved. Anyway, so okay. Okay. Now let's pick the swords up again. Okay, or get yours if you put it down. All right. Yeah, one of the things about Aikido, for example, we do one-on-one training. It's usually with the body. But for example, like a lot of Aikido timing, for example. Boom. All right. Boom. If I wait 2 ways, is that too late? Okay, but right about there, I can intercept his intention. And likewise, I'm a little slow. I can step to the side, and all of a sudden we have this motion. Okay, so it's very adaptable. Okay, if you take away Curry's left hand, he'll go right, or vice versa. If you play him too tight, he'll drive to the hoop. All right, play him too loose, he'll shoot and make it. If you're sloppy and foul him, he gets a free throw as well as a shot. That sort of thing. Okay. Now, one of the things here, for example, is that what we're doing is trying to kind of read his motion and just complement what he does with that. Okay, now more common, for example, is why don't you hold that for me? Okay, he comes on in this way. Okay, good. We practice the weapons taking. Somebody may attack you with something like this. In fact, there was a video of a couple of MMA guys getting destroyed on the street, and they were both undefeated in the ring. But the street people didn't play by any rules, and one of them picked up a tuba, and they didn't do weapons work. You know, if he comes swinging at me, then I'm gonna okay, good. You learn to stay calm, which means all that activity out there, you become the center, not in an egotistical way. Okay. Certain things, for example, these are trickier, but they come in this way, like flash attack or something like that. Well, what am I going to do with that? Okay, good. Come on, got that same position. You learn to read, for example, here, I'm swinging, but when I swing this way, when it crosses the center line, he comes in. You see, so most situations, if you're conscious and don't give up your power and get very agitated, you have a solution. So in Aikido, we teach you not to just blend with people, attackers, but also blend with situations. Okay? But one of the things I kind of wanted to mention a little bit, a lot of the movements, for example, like this, boom, he comes on in this way, boom. All I'm doing right there is really spotting where he's coming in and showing him his vulnerability. Once you cut the leg, well, guess what? His attention is somewhere else. If I'm like this, he cuts the leg. Oh my gosh. But if I'm here, I have his attention. Okay? So a lot of the Aikido works, what I was taught, triangle, circle, square. Because, see, I can actually come in second and win with the triangle, or be preemptive. Not hurt him, but show him the opening. Okay? For example, that motion for women with car keys, very good. Okay. Okay. Notice how my body triangulates. It doesn't get into a grappling or boxing position. The triangle is good because what happens is you just rotate. Oh, that way. Okay. And you're cool. You're cool. You're easy. Okay. That comes from the sword to some degree. Okay. Let's see. Let's put these down. I'll put this here. Yeah. And what we'll do is just he's coming with a grab here, and we'll kind of whatever. Well, just depends on what it works. We got this motion, but let's see if we can come here. Boom, boom. Oh, that motion. Now, what is that? This is a. All that he's on the hip. I go around. They'll come to grab you. We see that. No, stay easy. Very easy. But easy. Coming for that lead shoulder, step in, let him grab it. And here, instead of getting caught up upper, I'm getting angle here. I turn the wrist. I take the elbow and extend both. Okay, so let's work a little bit. Okay. Hatadori Ikkyo. Okay. For the most, the to we do swing the sword that much. But I hope I could show you that, you know, the really what we're working on, not staying calm, is staying attention. You want to lose it, but you don't want to be swamped. Yeah, if you go to about it, watch an old Bruce Lee video to teach somebody something, just too loose, too tight, too tight, too tight. You know, you put music on, let the guy dance around. We don't quite do that, you know, that area right there. But well, Lee was, to some degree, he was a musician. Yeah, he branched off into whatever it is. Kind of interesting to watch him, you know, where he was play acting and teaching, putting something in the kung fu, and, you know, he was getting them to feel, listen, open, that sort of thing. So we do that. I mean, we're not persuading, we're not picking people in the face or anything. But, you know, the movement of the weapons also, in the event somebody comes at you, you know, you can move. The MMA, you know, there's a video of these two MMA. They were undefeated. They got stomped on the street. One, because they weren't used to dealing with anything stick or something. Second, they had a habit of, you know, they're going to try to stay on the ground and wrestle. In multiple situations, you know, you get the ground and everybody's going to stomp you. What I realized is very interesting because I kind of get critiqued a lot because we don't do a lot of violent stuff. Handle weapons. 2, multiple situations. And 3, the other thing they didn't do, the attackers coming from the back. And at least we covered that. You see what I mean? So you can get this, you know, it's concerns about it. I thought it was, because I used to, you know, be a man named Robert Police. He taught police Aikido tactics, and he would rent a dojo, you know, not, but, you know, he would bring the police in to get funded and the police would get certified, which is, I mean, there's all this stuff now about police brutality and everything, and a system with effective humans. You know, it's kind of too bad that he passed on, and you know, it's just super violent. But just, you know, you know what? You male and I, you know, not only do you don't not do that, we don't particularly, you know, when people do this and like the dynamite that you're training, you know, to become better, but not more aggressive. Right? Yeah, and sometimes, you know, things that, you know, just simple swinging the sword, you know, that was the word, you know, for shooting shot at, you know, the mechanics. You know, when the workers got good, it started, you know, just good, right? And it was interesting. He said, you know, about 15 to 18 feet. You start shooting 23, 20.
Effective.
Yeah. Things, you know, the police is middle finger
Mhm.
directs. Like a lot of them see them go like that. Middle.
I
Right.
see.
What's interesting about sword
Uh-huh,
is the middle finger is the stabilizer.
uh-huh,
Right. In other words, you go this way. Most people go this way and you tense. Now you go boom,
uh-huh.
boom, boom. You can actually learn to hit that way. I mean, what other arts and all, you know, stress a lot of strikes. I pointed out most styles don't, you know, but you know that with the vulnerable points, the striking points.
I-
Yeah.
Are there many maybe
We actually, you know, right now, unfortunately, we have a lot of women right now. But you know, there was a workshop in San Francisco that a good friend of mine taught. It was exclusively women every year, and I think we had about 8 women that went. Most of them have a long time, and you know, it's still like 5. Well, they're out there still training. You know, they'll probably come because you know they get back to them and they want to do the training. And so we had women there, you know, and there was I think 40 women. We had
in
in Santa Cruz.
in San?
Yeah, there's a school called Santa Cruz. Like we have one of the chief instructors, a good friend of mine. Wound up being born here. She teaches in Santa Cruz. I was born in Santa Cruz. I teach in San
that's
Jose.
really
So
funny.
yeah, it's
So
kind of
you go way back.
yeah, we go way back. But anyway, yeah, she does that every year. You know, but the women start to get back to training. You know, they want to train with each other. They usually come back here a little bit more. You know, they get back on the mat. You know, a lot of times people train, but they never. You know, they get lazy. I mean, that's why you know days that I don't on my own. You know, I mean, you know, basically, as much as Kurt can shoot, he shoots bad,
Uh-huh.
you know, and there's, it's not just that it goes in. It doesn't. It's not just that it goes in. It has to go in first, and it has to make sound as it goes in.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, so when you make 100 in a row or something like that, it's pretty exacting. They don't count it if it hits the. They don't count it if it doesn't make. Yeah, but, you know, and you know, I mean, I imagine, you know, and he spotters, you know, that tell him his elbows going out too much, his feet are off or something like that, you know. So basketball, but you know, I usually use a lot of basketball analogies. Not that many people have known the Japanese sword,
Uh-huh.
quick release, you know, or Bruce Lee's inch punch, boom. You know, handling kind of a movement, right? Yeah, I mean Curry, you know, of course, he's good. Put him in the bowling alley, he's doing trick shots.
I see.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not that fortunately, but make $50 million a year, live in Africa. But anyway, I'm going to go back out there for another minute. So if you have any questions, you know. Okay, let's kind of look at a couple of things here. Okay, come on in. And one of the things, for example, somebody, boom, good. Quick, boom, boom. Loose. Be loose. I'm used to the form practice. Somebody comes very quick on me. Oh, no, okay, I'm tutorial. Okay, then. Be able to make something out of nothing. Okay. I was watching this Bruce Lee video where he was kind of dancing to music. Yeah. So he's doing all these unconventional things just to this guy to loosen up. Here's a bird trapping in the trees. Yes, good. It's very, very non-traditional. Okay, but for speed, he's coming to the body. What kind of? Okay, now for the movement here, it's like the boom, boom, boom. Another. Or if he comes in off of the point, we have another one. So you're able to adapt. Okay. Now the other thing we can do right here is the balloon. He comes in, good. It's a Tenkan motion. Turn. Okay. So we're gonna step back along. All right, the balloon right here. Remember. Now here he's pretty solid on me. So what do? I use a vibration there. Right? That's one thing you get when you get to feel the bokken cut. 2 hands. Okay. Boom. We're vibing together. Sometimes, you know, if he comes in and I got him in an awkward angle here. Big vibe. Okay. Easy there. You lose easy, but not sloppy. Right. You're gonna flip it. Okay. Oh, so I missed the hand change right there, but you know, make something else out. In class, it's sort of disrespectful to do that too much, to watch it. Okay, so I'm demonstrating something, but good. Come on, quick. Loose and easy, or the other way. Come on, go loose and easy here. Loose and easy. Loose and easy. Aware. Too caught up in the action. Maybe other people. Okay. So let's right here. You notice doing this older style boom is a strike. Older style boom is right to the wrist. Huh? Older style boom. Okay. Oh, okay. Most of the time we demonstrate them. Don't fool around with it, but realize, you know, that if I just go here, he's got the line right there. Somewhere it can be a distraction, but drop that comes in again. So right here, I'm attention. If he lets, okay, have your next move. If he cuts the angle too quick, okay, what's the next? Loose, easy. Breathe. The system calm down and be more efficient. Let's do the Papadori Ikkyo Tenkan motion. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, like here, this theater so cold out there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm up now, but you know, I wound up. We had a big area meeting, and one of my teachers meeting and went out to Starbucks just left the meeting. It rang with him. I'm over it. But, yeah.
I see. So this is more different.
Anyway, you know, try to give you a feel for it. One thing we would try to do is to teach the movement, but teach her that calm, that focus.
What would feel like theater and like just
To the what?
theater and then
Well, you know that they usually come on. And one of the women that sometimes when she has time from work, she comes on. But most of the women train on Sundays. They don't come at all. So I saw that my students said, good, then they'll probably get back into training again. Yeah. Hmm?
Who's the woman?
Well, of the people who's out
You check.
and it's,
Uh-huh.
she's been training for a long time.
I
In
see.
fact, you know, we moved originally in Japan,
Uh-huh.
and we moved to Martha Street, which had a whole pandemic thing down. And,
Uh-huh.
we bought a building today,
Uh-huh.
and so it makes sense to pay, you know, basically rent, you know, space couldn't use because of the pandemic. We switched to online for a while. When everything kind of eased up, we actually we're still here temporarily. I think we've been here since 2021 in July.
I
But
see.
the spot, unfortunately, the pandemic delayed the city, you know, came, and so they'll now it's being converted. So hopefully later this year, you know, outside of Japan.
Oh, just so you're moving.
We'll yeah. Are you moving?
I live in
Okay. Yeah. There's a good show up. There's mountain road. If you from used to, like, for example, tonight, I think.
Oh, they're classes.
Yeah, that's right. And then the Dodo Sensei, who's kind of a supervisor, he teaches Tuesday nights, and then he kind of closes Sundays.
Okay.
So it's Tuesday, Wednesday night, and Sunday for Mountain View. But we have an agreement.
Oh, the Thursday night is in the city?
No.
Thursday.
The
You
Tuesday,
said
the
that.
Tuesday night's here,
Uh-huh.
Sensei,
Yeah.
or supervisor.
Uh-huh.
Wednesday night, Lauren, the man teaches.
Uh-huh.
Days they kind of both. It's Lauren's class. No, those Sensei takes it over, I think.
I see.
And then we do on Wednesday and Sunday. I mean, they do Saturday. We do 30 to 1.
I see.
And if you can still do these classes, charge extra.
Right.
And my students here can train in the Mountain View. There's no
So, in these classes,
I Mountain View. The classes I was mentioning, the Tuesday, the Wednesday night, the Aikido Mountain View.
okay, and these
Yeah,
are,
we're basically Aikido of San Jose. Railway Aikido Mountain View.
how do you see? That makes
Yeah. So, you know, Ryan's, we don't get a lot. We used to get more class track.
sense.
On some Mountain View people, you don't charge them. My understanding is that the students are trained there, and they don't pay any extra.
Got
So,
it.
you know,
Is the schedule posted for?
yeah,
Yeah.
the over.
I don't know. I just wasn't sure.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay.
It's up there. This is up to date. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna end the class. Okay. Clean up. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I kind of gave you some of the benefits of the work. So hopefully, most of you to swing on your own, okay, or swing some more on your own. It's surprising that one basic move has such an effect on your IQ development. Okay. It's kind of, you know, so Klay Thompson of the Warriors, his father was the #1 pick in the NBA draft in 1978 or something. And he switched to the Lakers on the Portland Trailblazers. And as Klay was growing up, his father made a statement, your jump shot is going to take you a long way. And it has. they saw, like, wow, your jump shot, you're gonna go. But the bokken cut can take you longer than I could. And if you can't make it to the dojo, right now we're 2 days a week. When we get, in San Jose, there will be. For now, you can swing. The number one thing I kind of want that could have gone highlight a little bit more is most of your body's too square. Okay, and this is hard. When the body triangulates. Now, most people, when they triangulate, lose the center line. Boom. Okay. Okay. There's a hip turn. Hip turn. Loosen. Loosen. For example, that hip turn is, let's see, swing the arm. Boom. That's kind of a hip turn. Boom. Or if we go this way, it's like boom. Hip turn. Boom.
Hmm.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, your bokken affects everything. That. Okay, anyway, we'll bow out. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I believe we have a special third on Saturday. Okay, so, David, do you know the time? 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, the Los Angeles Willow Street. Okay, it looks like it's gonna. I think there were like 25 people or more registered for it. So, okay, all right. We'll be doing Sunday class. Okay. Don't eat too much. Whew. Anyway, get out of this into something warmer. But, I'm Jack Wada. Nice to meet you. Okay, all right.
For more weapons,
Think for more weapons. What?
is there like classes for more weapons?
Well, yeah, there will be more. I'm looking into a lot of weapons. It's, the these lump limited.